The next person I would like to introduce is not Burt Reynolds, but an elder in our community that some people say looks like Burt Reynolds. He's been involved in education all of his life. He heads up the Three Fires Medewan Lodge. He is in the back making his rounds amongst all the ladies. He is also the Dean of the Native American Studies at Shingwauk University today. He is gracing us with his presence as he makes himself available and forward here. And his name is Badwewe Dunn, Edward Benton Banai, and he's going to speak with us, at us, around us for a few minutes about some of the things he learned from his grandparents and great-great-grandparents, which when you add to his time on this earth takes us back to the Middle Ages, 1700s at least, he says. Edward Benton Banai, Badwewe Dunn.
Miigwech, Bojon to the Waymaganiduk, Badoiran Benesi Indigenous cause, Ojibwe and anishinaabe and Dao, or the Hawasaga Eganing and Donjiba. Miuma Gay Giunda de Sian. The term Giunda de Sian going Shaganashi and Gaygungi known to see. We went in Shinabe Kina, Giujimo, Umash, Kuniganing. Giving up in my decision, Shinabe EOP. Going up at you, gave me a question in the work. Going up at you, he Kitimagis is even Gaye. EOP, Gian Shinabe young. We went to we went to Moan Shinabe. We went to a nation between the Manama. Gaishinawak. Gaishe Pimatis young, Yabe and Shinabe young. Gani Abe Ishinago Sinon Bimatis. Now some Gaishe Pimatis young here, Miwisha. We went to going on a Shagana sheep. Miigwech. Are there any questions? I was not speaking a foreign language. I was speaking our sacred language called Ojibwe Mowin. And it is a sacred language. Our teachings and our ways of life tell us that. It is the Spirit Creator who gave us this language. This language doesn't come from somewhere else. This language doesn't belong to somebody else. All the foreign languages that are spoken here came from somebody else. It is of somebody else's belief system and somebody else's culture. But the English language is what dominates us today. It is English language is the language of the world today. So it's very important that we learn to speak the English language, but we must speak the truth. We got to learn to speak the truth when we use this language. We are intimidated by what we learn in school, by the politics of the day, and by the culture of the day. When I was a child on this reserve, and I see some of my cousins over there, the Smiths, we were all children here at about the same time. Almost every household on the reservation spoke the language. Our grandmothers and grandfathers, they spoke the language. When we were going to school, many of us, we heard the language at home. We heard the language when we got home from school. We heard the language as we were leaving our house to go to school. So our language was the language of the land at that time. And the language is consistent with our with our belief systems, what was given to us by the Creator, by the Spirit, and it held sway here for many, many generations. I remember as a child during World War II that many Christian families, they brought tobacco, food, and offerings to the ceremonies to pray for their son who might have been going to war. And that practice stayed that way for a long time here. That there was good respect between those who were of the Anishinaabe religion, who were under Anishinaabe beliefs, and those who chose the Christian way. There was a good respect among us. But somewhere along the way, as the English language became dominant or prominent and then dominant, we started to lose. We started to lose a lot of things. We started to lose that respect for each other. When we started to lose that respect for each other, gossip became the way of life. And gossip became the truth here. But among the Ojibwe speaking families, it was not always that way. But I remember all of the things that our grandmothers and grandfathers said about this time. This time that we are living in was prophesied long before the light-skinned race ever got here. The light-skinned race that arrived here upon this land was prophesied to us at least 300 years before they ever got here. And along with that prophecy came some other prophecies, things that would happen if we were not careful. We were told to be careful about some of the things that we would accept. We were told always to hang on to what was given to us because it had brought us to this time of life for thousands and thousands of years. We have been here on this continent, we the Anishinaabe people. The word Anishinaabe means all indigenous people of this part of the world. We are all Anishinaabe because we are the original people of this part of the world. We understand that Lakotas are the Lakota Anishinaabe. Menominee are the Menominee Anishinaabe. The Oneidas are the Oneida Anishinaabe. The Six Nations people are the Six Nations Anishinaabe. So that term there, it's kind of being used wrong in a lot of ways. A lot of people identify only the Ojibwe-speaking people as an Anishinaabe. But we are all Anishinaabe because we are the original people of this part of the world. Our creation story tells us that this is where the Creator Spirit put us. We didn't come from somewhere else. We didn't come from somewhere else as the anthropologists and missionaries write. That's a pack of lies. We did not come from somewhere else. This is where the Creator set us. This is our homeland. This is our homeland. This is our homeland. And so the more that we can recover that. When I was a director of the school here on LCO, I insisted that every class be given the opportunity to hear our teachings, to hear our creation story. However long that held after I left, it's no longer there. But I think parents, grandmothers, aunties, uncles, we got to get back to that. We got to get back to that so that we get back to the time when violence against women was unheard of in our communities. And it was that way because men were Anishinaabe men of honor, men of integrity, men of honesty. That's the way that we were. That's the way we were when we were all pagans. Today I'm a born again pagan. Anybody else born again pagan? Raise your hand. All right, all right, all right. We take over council next year. Just kidding. Don't worry. Don't worry. We're not going to do that. But I've been in education for a long time. I started in education here at the Kinnaman School. When I got dismissed from there, I went to sister school. That's a Catholic school here. When I got dismissed there, I went back to Kinnaman School. When I got dismissed there, I went back to sister school. I've done that 5 times. And finally, they accepted me in Hayward. Integration, you know. But I went to school out in Hayward. I remember Hayward School when they wouldn't let Indian boys play basketball. And I remember the 2 Indian boys that broke that color line. One of them is here with us. Where's Daryl? Daryl Kuhn, where are you? Daryl, where are you? Where? Where's Daryl? Yes. It wasn't you. I thought I saw him here.
A little bit older, taller version of me.
Yeah. Daryl and his cousin Willard Kuhn were the ones that broke the ban on Indian boys playing basketball in Hayward. Let's give the Kuhn family a great big round of applause for doing that. I want to introduce somebody else who had a lot to do with setting how we do education and setting in motion that we would have our own school on our reservation. I don't know if many of you remember, but where's Becky Taylor? Where are you, Becky? Stand up, Becky, so everybody can see you. Becky led the walkout from Hayward High School because of the treatment that we were receiving there at the school. Racist treatment that we were receiving. She walked out of school. And from that, they changed their policies, changed the way that they do things. But that was the first motion towards getting our own schools on the reservation. So we have some people here who've done a lot of things. One of the things that I was asked to talk about is where we are with our culture and where we are today. Where we are today is we are in a very fragile time. We are in a fragile time because of what the prophecies say. When I talk about the prophecies, we have to understand the language really good, because that's where it is. The loss of our language is a result of education and government. It was planned that we should lose our language, because they planned that if we lose our language, lose our spiritual ways, lose our teachings, it would be easier for them to take over our land. The plan, of course, in the very beginning was a complete annihilation of the original people of this part of the world. That didn't work very well. In fact, the policies, if you read them and do the research like I've done, and like a lot of other people have done, you'll discover that the United States government had a timeline. First, the policy was complete annihilation of us as a people. And then they found out that didn't work. So they tried some other things. They tried some political and policy changes. One of them being germ warfare, when they sent smallpox-ridden blankets into our communities. When smallpox hit us, that hit us like 1,000 people would die on this reservation every day. There's graves from those days that are still out there, that remain unmarked. Even though I've told the tribal council time and time again, where some of those grave sites are. And we should mark them and remember them, because a lot of children died in that bacteria warfare that was waged against us by both the church and the government and education. We have to remember that kind of history. If we don't, the old adage about people who don't remember their history will repeat it again. If we don't revive our language, if we don't revive who we are doomed to repeat it again. I don't want to leave that to my children. I don't want to leave that to my great-grandchildren. I don't want to leave that for the 7th generation after us. I want to leave clean water, good land. I want to leave this reservation to the 7th generation, so that they'll have the kind of life that we did when we were children here, when there were no drunken Indians driving on the highways, when there was no murders, when there was no killings, because we all had our language and we all had our respect for one another. We have to regain that. We have to go back to that. That doesn't mean we go back to the teepee or the wigwam. I'm not going to do that. Colder than hell in them things in wintertime. Even though I still know how to cut wood, but almost all the muskrats are gone. So those are the kinds of things that I work on as an educator. Those are the kinds of things that the Spirit has placed in my heart. That's what I do. When we were children here, my cousins, Dick Barber, Russell, Franklin, our brother Jim Barber, we were all part of the lodge. We were also part of the Ogichita Society. We were also part of the Big Drum. We were all part of those prayer societies, because those were good things in our life. Those were good things for the community. So in relaying our future, you have to go back and see where we were. Read about the 7 prophecies first, and you'll understand how things have taken place. The 7 prophecies accurately predict everything that has happened to us. But we live in a very precarious time, because it says that in a time of the 7th fire, a new people will rise up. And those new people are sitting among you. They're sitting among us. They're right here. That new generation is right here with us. And they're watching and they're listening. They are the ones asking, what is my name? Where can I find my spirit name? Where can I find my due name? Who knows my clan? Those are the questions they are asking. If you're not listening, they will go somewhere else. They will ask somebody else. We are in the time of the 7th fire. We are in that time. All of these things that are happening in our land is part of that description. The attempt to mine the Penokee Mountains is part of that prophecy to our generations. I want them to have the kind of land that we grew up on, where water is clean, where the birds continue to sing, where wawashkeshi is good to eat, where there's good food and good berries on the land. That's what we deserve, and that's what our children and our coming generations deserve. Miigwech Bisintawayeg, thank you very much.
Take any questions or anything?
Sure.
Is there anyone that wants to ask a question or two? We'll take a question or two and hold Badwewe done to 2 minutes according to the legislative rules of testimony. Question? Why don't you go up here and turn on the mic just so that our people, we're broadcasting live all over the world. There's people from foreign countries.
Basic magazine nini indigenous cause. Bob BG shi do dem. Oni wani kani ni doing jaba. I got this thing here. Is Madeline Island supposed to be Medewin Island? You know about Medewin?
I know a little bit about it, yeah.
I heard you knew about Medewin.
Your question was, is Moneguaniconig a Medewin Island?
Yeah.
The island is always considered a sacred place. But when the migration had completed its journey, the westward movement was completed on Spirit Island, which is now Duluth. When the missionaries started to come into the area, they moved the Medewin Lodge and all the sacred articles to Moneguaniconig, to Madeline Island. There they thought they could protect them and guard them. But when civilization swarmed in and settlers swarmed in, they took them off Madeline Island and they floated them across the river to what is now Bad River. We know where it landed there on Bad River, and the rest of it was secret. But we got to know what happened to them. All the original sacred items were taken to a cliff, and they were lowered over the cliff and dug into the earth, because a little boy in the time to come is going to dream where they are, and that's going to happen very soon. Yes, it's a Medewin Island.
This drum, I went down to Madison, and they arrested me. I don't know, a lot of people seen that video, but the Mountie Dew has been coming to me, and they've been telling me different things, how we're supposed to handle in time of need. The fires, we're all supposed to pull together, go to the island. You know, why should our women be sold all over? We got to pull together and stick together. This guy's right, you know, we got to pull together. But the thing is, we got to come together on that island. That was our resting spot.
That will happen. That will happen. I don't know if it'll happen in our time, but it will happen. Anything else? It's okay if you want to ask questions. Even if you're a Republican, you can ask a question. All right, again, thank you very much for your kind respect.